Hello and welcome to another edition of Delta Media Group's Tech Tuesday. So today we are going to go over some settings that I think a lot of people don't really realize are in there and don't realize how much you can customize this stuff. But basically we're going to go into the listing display settings, and this is a page that controls different elements of your public site, primarily which featured listings show up, which listings will show up on your own My Listings page. So you can really use this page to kind of fine-tune exactly which listings you're going to market the most on your website. Like I said, both on the home page and on your own My Listings page. So let's jump into the DeltaNet and see what's in there. Now we already know most of what's in there, right? So here we are on the welcome page. And this is just the first page you hit when you log in. And we're going to go down to website and listing display. Now, some of these settings can be locked down kind of by the company site or by the company as a whole, while as others are going to be available to pretty much everybody. But as we look through this page, the first thing we have here is the mortgage link setup. Now, this depends on what theme you're using and what detail page setup you're on as to whether or not this shows up on your particular detail pages. So what I suggest for this is just kind of play around for a little bit, get it entered. And if you're on a website theme where you enter this and don't see it show up on the page, let us know and we can look into adding it on your particular style of detail page. However, in order to make this work, you just put in the address that you would like your mortgage links to go to. So it's easier for most to paste it in. So there you go, and then you click Update, and what this will do is, if you have a template that supports it, or if you have a detail page that supports it, when you submit this setting, it will automatically make a mortgage link, or a link with this title and this target, show up on your listing detail pages, usually right by the mortgage calculator section. So I'm going to take a risk here, because honestly, I don't know if the detail pages on this particular template are going to use this setting or not, but we're going to find out. So go to my home page, and I'm just going to pick a listing here. Picture my dog. Picture of a listing. And apparently we're going to let it think for a minute. It's going to take it under advisement. It's considering what I've clicked on. Still considering. In my experience, you don't actually issue commands to computers in general. You issue requests, and then the computer will take under advisement whether or not it wants to actually grant your request or not. Not listening to a command, granting a request. I'm not giving up yet. I realize it just looks like I'm trying random Wi-Fi networks. Look at that. Nothing happened. Just like nothing happened. So that's why we're in tech support around here. We can problem solve. There we are. So as you can see, we're on a detail page for one of my listings. And as we scroll down the page, here we are on the mortgage calculator, and right here at the bottom is a mortgage link. And it works. It's my favorite kinds of mortgage links. So we'll back out of that. But there you go. So what it does is adds a mortgage link to the mortgage calculator on your detail pages. Yet again, if you have a detail page that actually supports it, the vast majority do. So most of you, when you add it in, it will show up no problem. And then when a customer is on that page, if they're interested in a mortgage, they can click on that link. It goes to the place you specified it to go to and opens it up in a new window so that it doesn't take them off your site. So easy peasy. We had to work for it a little bit, but we got there. All right, so the next thing we have on the listing display page, let me get back there now, is the featured homes for your homepage settings. So what this will do is this will determine which featured listings will show up on your homepage. Now again, all these settings are kind of dependent upon the template or the modular theme you're using for your website, but all the modular system stuff should support these without an issue. Now what I find a lot of people don't immediately understand about this particular feature is that all of these settings here are kind of compounding as you go down the page. So the first thing you have here chooses what your main pool of featured listings for your homepage will be. So, and what I mean there is if I go to my homepage and scroll down, here's the featured homes display on this particular theme on the homepage. So what this is doing is pulling from a grouping of listings determined by that first setting on that page. So right now I'm saying my listings and office listings if necessary, and what that means is if you're displaying 3 featured listings there and you have say just 1 listing of your own, it'll display your listing plus it'll fill in the other 2 with office listings. Now if you set this to rotate, so we have this auto load setting down here, so if I tell this to auto load every say 5 seconds or 10 seconds, it will pull my 1 listing, if I just have the 1, plus it'll fill in the other 2 with office listings, and then so that it has something to rotate to, it'll pull in some more that'll be office listings, so that it has some to rotate between. Now, by that same rationale, you can change this to my listings and company listings if necessary, and it'll do exactly the same thing, except it'll use company listings instead of just your office's listings. And you can set it to just your listings, so that if you only have one listing will show up. If you don't have any listings, then that section just won't appear. And you can set it to do all company listings, so it cycles through everything in the company. And most of these are pretty obvious. The only ones in here that are particularly interesting beyond, or that aren't as obvious, I suppose, are you can set this to pull specific MLS IDs. So if I set it there, I can now type in MLS IDs and you separate them with just a comma. And what it'll do is display just the listings that match the MLS IDs I've entered here. So if one of these listings goes off the market, it won't automatically leave this. It won't display anymore because it's no longer active, but it'll still be in my list. So if I don't go in and change this, if I'm trying to define, say, 5 listings manually and all 5 of those listings go on the market, then my page won't display any featured listings because it's trying to display those 5 and those 5 aren't active anymore. So the main thing to realize here is that yes, you can define them on your own, but you have to keep maintaining it after that because as they go off the market, it's not going to make those updates automatically. They're just going to disappear. And then the other settings that are kind of interest are you can do your listings, except you can exclude some MLS IDs that are your own listings if you want. So if you know you have 5 listings, but you only want to display 3 of them on your homepage as featured listings, you could say my listings and then put in the MLS IDs of the listings of yours that you don't want to include, and it'll leave those out. And then the other side of that coin is you can do the same thing, your listings, plus you can add in some MLS IDs if you want to put some other agents' listings on there also. Or you can just say none. So change this back to my listings and office listings. Now the next thing here is markets. So this is the thing that's not quite as obvious to a lot of people that use this feature. Markets is being applied to this list. So if you have, say, 10 featured listings in here, and you put in, we'll go with Canton, Ohio. Okay, let's say I have 10 listings, and 5 of them are in Canton, Ohio, and 5 of them are in Massillon. If I have this set to my listings only, then it's going to display my 10 listings, and then if I put in the market Canton in here, it will only display my listings in Canton. So it's not going to display all of my listings plus any company listings in Canton, because it seems like that's kind of a misconception people run into a lot. It will just apply this filter to whatever listings it's pulling here. Now you can also add additional markets. So if you want to say your listings in Canton and Massillon, and I've got 5 listings in Canton, 5 listings in Massillon, and 5 listings in Akron. If I put Canton and Massillon here, then only my Canton and Massillon listings will show up. My Akron listings will not. yet again, just on my home page featured listing section. So by that same rationale, this price range will apply to exactly the same thing. So it will further restrict that pool of listings you've gotten from this filter and this filter. So, if I set this from 100 to 200 and I have this set to Canton, it'll display only my listings and office listings, if it needs office listings, that are in Canton from 100 to 200,000. And I can further restrict it by making this, say residential. Plus I can add multiple categories here. So I can say, now it's only residential and rental between the price range here, in the markets here, and all of those restrictions are being applied to this one thing, whatever I've selected here. All right, and this will do the same thing. Lakefront properties will further restrict all of the restrictions above down to just lake listings. So that's what I'm trying to get at here. As you go down the list, each one of these settings compounds on the one before it. All right, so the next thing you can do here is you can set your listings to auto load, as I kind of mentioned earlier, and this just sets it so that it automatically cycles through your listings. So if someone's just sitting on your home page and they see those listings, it'll automatically load them at whatever interval you set here. And now you can set it to scale images, but that doesn't really apply to the new responsive theme. So if you're still using one of the older templates, the featured listings display on those, if this is selected, can take that featured listings display and it'll try to make the images for those listings more uniform if you select this. But yet again, based on the way mobile responsive sites have to work, this doesn't apply to the new mobile responsive stuff. And then Atlas Search, you can choose to display these as a different color on your map page. And honestly, I haven't tested this, so I don't know how well it works with the new map features. But I'm going to check it out. Why not? There we go. So those two settings are only for the older map search system. So if you're on the new map search like this, then it's not going to take those settings into account. So all your listings and all the company listings are all going to show up in the same color in here. But you could restrict this page to just your listings through a different method. And we'll kind of save that one for another video. All right, so once you have the settings figured out here, now the last thing you have is featured banner. You can choose whether to display that on all company listings, just your listings, or not show this featured banner at all. And this is just the banner that shows up on the gallery view when you have all your listings listed out. So just the results page view here. We'll go to new listings. Probably won't be any new listings. There we go. So all of these featured listings is set to show up on all company listings. You could set that to show up on just your listings or not show up at all. All right. So once you have these settings all together, you just click the update button and that's it. That sets up your featured listing settings for your home page, also this banner. All right, the next section we have on this page is the list of featured listings or My Listings, and this refers to the ones that will show up on your own My Listings page. So all these settings above it show up on the featured listings page, whereas this one, if I go to, see if I have a My Listings page set up, if you have a link to a My Listings page up here, it will take you to this page. Now most sites, you'll have a My Listings link up here so that someone can just click on My Listings and see all of your listings. That setting determines what shows up on your My Listings page. So in this case, I have it set to show only my own listings, so it just shows the 3 that are mine, whether the system thinks they're mine. And if I go down here and I change this to all company listings and save it, got a million windows open, and refresh this page, there you go. Now you see I have 50 listings on my Listings page instead of just the 3. So if you want to include more than just your own listings on your My Listings page, that is how you would do it. Let me back out of that one. Now this has all the same kind of settings that the featured listing has. So you can set this to be, fill in with your listings if you have any, company listings if you don't, or office listings if you don't. As I set it to all company listings, you can set it to specific MLS IDs. So essentially all the same settings you have for the featured listings display, you have for the My Listings display as well. The only thing that it does not include here are the additional settings for breaking it down by market, because it's displaying them on a search results page. So if someone wants to break them down by market, they have the option of doing that already by just typing it into the search. But the other settings you can see here, same goes for price range, but property category, you could break it down to just your residentials if you wanted on your My Listings page. So there we go. So I'm going to skip over default search form because that's an older setting. We have a ticket in to remove it from the platform, but it was based on the older search system. Property videos gives you the ability to, if you have videos on any of your listings, it can display only the videos on your own listings and not any others. Otherwise, you can have it set to show all videos. So any listing that has a video on it, it'll show the video on the detail page. Same goes for virtual tours. You can show only the virtual tours that are set on your own listings or those that are set on all listings. And then this open house setting is also kind of a legacy setting based on the older platform. So if you're still using the older open houses platform, it'll show the default message when there are no current open houses, or you can customize this message by just unchecking that box and putting in your own message. But on the modular responsive pages, this setting is no longer used since you just search for open houses on your actual results page. And so that that's not too confusing, if I go now to open houses, I'm just looking at, and there are no upcoming open houses, but I'm just looking at a regular search results page that's filtered to open houses and not a separate open house platform. And that setting related to the separate platform that was on the last version of the system. All right, so that's about it for all of your listing display settings. So I hope you learned something. As always, thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, concerns, any topics for new videos, or if there is anything else you need, feel free to send an email into support@deltagroup.com or give us a call. Any questions on any of these settings, we'd be happy to walk you through it, or anything else in the DeltaNet. So, we've got Labor Day coming up, don't we? Happy Labor Day coming up. Big 3-day weekend, right? I was going to wear a hat like I did for Christmas, but I don't know what a Labor Day hat looks like, so I decided I'd skip it this time. So, in any case, I will see you next week after your 3-day weekend. Have a good one. Thanks a lot.